website, amprepairguy.com, 203-892-4119. Also, harbackelectronics.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll get the notification in your email when I put another video on. So if you're following this build, you'll get an email when I put another installment on. So I have a playlist with this from start to this point, a whole bunch of videos. So if you're interested, take a look. So I've had some time, worked on a couple amps, and they were 811Hs, so I didn't make videos. But next week I have more Meritrons coming in, so I'll make videos of those. Customers want the video on YouTube. SB200. I have an Alpha 77SX coming in today. Has the external doll transformer. That'll be interesting for everybody. I will power test it to its full output. So, into a dummy load. People say, well, how do you do that? I have a whole bunch of dummy loads here. I have a attenuator load, which is I think 5 kilowatts with the fan kit. Then I have a Ultronics 5 kilowatt load that has the fan kit on it, and then I have a big electro impulse load that came out of the Ocean Gate site. I've put a lot of power into that thing. It's rated for I think 15 kilowatts continuous. It'll take way more than that, and that's no fan, no oil, nothing, just free air. So if you put a fan on it, it should handle a lot more. Anyway, so I have the appropriate dummy load to test whatever I'm testing. I have the metering, all the coax, whatever. Okay, so anyway, back to the amplifier. I am getting there. So I'm going to go over what I did. The back switch on off. You got to pull it out. And then flip it. This is the intake. It has filter media. Stop dog hair and whatever from getting in there. This holds it in place. So just lots of planning with this thing. If this were being built from scratch, like that 6-meter PA, I mean, that 6-meter PA was a fun project because it was up. The output network was for 6 meters, and I had to cancel out some of the capacitance in the tube, the interelectrocapacitance between the grid and the plate, because that's in parallel with the C1 capacitor for the output network. So, but that was all from scratch. This amplifier started off with an 8877, and it has a grid and plate overload circuit, and the meters require that board to work because they're rated, they're 100 microamp meter movements. So I had to use the board. I have like 4 sets of those meters, and this is my own personal amp. I'm trying to build it for as cheaply as possible. I wanted to reuse the front panel. Looked really nice and pretty. That's why I went through all the chain drive stuff, mounted the capacitor, the C1 and C2 output network capacitors vertical. Just so much work to reuse this cabinet and save some money. Plus it's really thick wall material. It's a good cabinet, nice and small. But that was a challenge, so I had to get all the parts to fit, a lot of planning, just really major accomplishment in its own. Just a lot of parts, and they're all rated for the tube's maximum output for continuous duty cycle. So that, having everything sized, some of the calculations my friend Jim helped me out with, but laying everything out, just really utilized all of my experience over the 20 plus years building amplifiers. There's nothing to copy. There are a lot of people that make monoband amps, and basically if you have a drill, if you have wire strippers, if you have a soldering iron, I mean, if you know how to use these tools, if you have punch or stepper bit, anyone can make one. Just because something's working does not mean it's built correctly. So this is just a whole nother level, and I'm really proud of myself. This is a lot of work. First time I've ever built a 3CX6000 multi-band box like this. So again, if you want to see the RF deck and all that, it's in one of the other videos. So if you want to try to copy it, you know, go ahead. It's a lot harder to copy something like that than a monoband box. Just, you know, but especially if it has a progressively shorting rotary switch versus a roller inductor. Just a whole nother level. Okay, so anyway, back to this amplifier. So you have the low voltage assembly. One powers the protection board and also the control board over there for the blower and soft start. One controls the mercury contactor coils and also the vacuum relays in the top RF deck. Then I have another one here that powers the soft key circuit. So you have the open firm relays there. So this is designed so I can I wanted it to be easily serviceable. So this whole assembly comes out, unplug these two connectors, comes out, and I have everything interlocked properly, and you know, if I lost certain things, certain other things wouldn't work. I mean, I just wanted it to be pretty much bulletproof. This will be housed in another room, so I don't hear it, and if something happens, I want it to shut off. I'd also want to, I wanted to set it up so if I wanted to use it remote someday, I just like, you know, thinking ahead and just doing everything I can possibly do. So it's just safe, you know, it'll just shut down. So I have the, you know, if there's an issue. So got the variac to fine tune the primary of the filament transformer so I can maximize the cathode emission life of the tube per care and feeding of power grid tubes. Got the 100 amp supercon connectors for the filament leads that go up to the RF deck, the 250 amp ones for the switched side of the plate supply. The transformers are external, they weigh 153 pounds each. It's 15.9 kVA CCS total, made by MagnaSpec, good transformers. So I didn't get the split lock washers yet for the supercons. This is how they come, but I just like really good connection. So any connection that requires a crimp, I also solder it. You know, I don't want there to be a chance of having a bad connection. Okay, so you have all the electrolytics. You have the series glitch resistors. So got 2 in parallel, series with another 2 in parallel. So they're 50 ohms each. End up with 50 ohms in the end. They're all connected at the end here. Teflon wire, crimped, soldered. All the ring terminals are soldered to the fuse clips. Have the retainer clips on here. Have over 1/2 inch between any high voltage point and ground. They're mounted to Teflon. It's 1/4 inch thick. I have to go to the hardware store, get the proper screws for it, for the insulators. So have one down there. I think it's a 3/4. I think it's a 3/4. It might be, I forget what size it is, but larger insulator on the bottom for each side, and then the skinnier one on the top. But it ain't going nowhere. That's plenty strong enough. So yeah, I had to get creative with mounting the filament transformer. And again, someone said something about, oh, you have a, this is my own personal box, so I used 3/4 ply wood. I only have so much time. You know, if this was a customer's, I'd use Lexan or something and drill through it, use machine screws, and put a nut on the other side. But you know, these screws, they're wood screws, they don't go all the way through, and these plastic clamps, they obviously plastic, they're non-conductive, and they actually isolate the cap between the bottom of the cap and the wood. So someone's like, oh, what if the wood gets saturated? That's not going to happen. But anyway, they're not touching the wood. So I have the diode across each capacitor. People have been like, why do you do that? If one of the rectifier legs were to short, you'd end up with raw AC going in the caps until the main breaker popped. And these caps are very expensive. Diodes are very cheap, so I'd rather replace diodes. Unlikely that'll happen, but it could happen. So feed to be positive on one side, then you'll have the out going up towards the tube. Actually, it'll go to the fuse, And so the fuse will be right. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it there or over here yet, but it's a sand-filled fuse, and it'll be on standoffs. So she's looking good. This is the delay off, the capacitor for the delay off for the blower. I'm not sure if I'm going to put the motor on cap here or not for the EBM PAPS blower. Got the rectifier assembly. I'm going to take this apart and try to get this to fit. They're 19 6 amp diodes per leg. I have 3 of these. They're nice. So why not use it, right? Less work. And as a metal oxide resistor in parallel with each diode. These resistors, you don't need those anymore. Someone made a comment about that. But, so using all Teflon wire. I have a whole closet filled up with rolls of it. Got the pressure interlock. This will connect to a barb fitting that'll be protruding through the top cover of this RF deck, and then this cabinet. I'm sorry. And the RF deck has a cover on the bottom of it, and there's a hole in this. The blower pressurizes the bottom compartment of the RF deck, and it'll have that same material as the 6 milliamp. So same setup as the 6 milliamp. This is where I actually got the idea from years and years and years ago. So yeah, that's about it for now. The connector comes through here. I think I showed that before. It's like a square. This customer's personal information. It looks like this. This is an Alden connector, unplugs from the one connected to that assembly. And there's an interlock right here that'll shut the plate down if that's not installed. And I'll have the plate secondary coming in. I'm probably just gonna have that hardwired. I'll have 2 conductors, and it'll go through braided material, same way I did it on the 6 meter amp, and it'll come in and connect to standoffs, and then the rectifier assembly will also connect to the standoff. So, but I would never ever use one of those Millen connectors. They are just not appropriate for this. So for using it for I wouldn't want 2 of them for the line AC. So I do have another Alden. I'm not sure. I could use one of those. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, going off on a tangent. So that's about it for now. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. A lot of work, plenty of clearance. And remember, cool air is getting sucked in through here, pass by the resistors. They're only dissipating at full output. On sideband, they're dissipating 17 watts each. They're rated for 275 watts each. I forget what the amount was for just a continuous carrier. It was a lot more. They run hot, but you want they're within the spec that's needed for the amount of current. Plus, they'll handle the if there's a short in the B positive, they'll handle it. They'll survive and give the fuse a chance to open up. So you don't ever want the resistors to open up. That is, it's not how it's supposed to be. And this amp has the grid overload circuit, so if the fuse did open up, grid current would pin and it would shut down. Everything would shut down. So, again, thank you for watching. And I will be back. Today's Friday, so I'm done for the. I have to go ship some hardbox kits, and then I'm going to do a couple other things here, and then I'm going to relax. I need to relax. I did a lot of stuff this week, and this terminal strip is for the blower, for the EBM PAPS blower. So I've not soldered the wires yet because the motor run cap has to connect to these, and I'll probably have a connector. I'll have leads coming off with a connector so I can easily unplug the blower leads and I'll be zip tied up here. This is for the metering. It's not hooked up yet for high voltage metering. So, but that was all the tedious stuff. All that stuff right there that required looking at the original schematic, that required, you know, adapting, and, you know, so that was all me, all figuring that out, and just a lot of thinking, but it's all good. So, alright, well, I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I'll be back next week. Here's the keyline RCA, and the nice thing about the soft key is I can key this with any transceiver, and the relays have the proper delay for when they're energized and de-energized, so there's no worry about hot switching. So it's great. Okay, so again, thanks for watching. AmpRepairGuy.com, also HarbachElectronics.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. And by the way, a guy, I have to emphasize this, outside the United States, when this is done, he is interested in a tube with handles. He wanted 2 RF decks, 160, 80, 40, 160, 80, 40, and then another one 20, 15, and 10. But I told him I can squeeze it all in one, most likely can squeeze it all in one cabinet, you know, 1 RF deck. The capacitor I need for the load side, because I don't like padding capacitors. Problem is the 4000 puff one is only rated for a certain amount of current, so it'd have to be derated. The output would have to be derated on 10, but it is doable. And this thing, I was actually thinking about it. I don't really care about 10, but if I wanted to put it on 10, I could use some single pole, single throw, high current vacuum relays on the output network. And there is a way to add 10 if I really wanted to, but that's down the road. I'm not really worried about it. The reason why I didn't do it now is because I'd have to change the plate choke at that point, but do something else because it would burn up there. But it is possible. So that band switch limited me. I got those for free. I have 2 of them, so it limited me to to a certain amount of bands. So I selected 160, 80, 40, 20, and 15. It's really hard to get an amp to work on 160, without padding capacitance and the amount of inductance, and especially how big this is. So, you see a lot of 80 through 10 meter amps. So you don't see really a lot of 160, ones that go multibands that go down to 160, especially in this power level, unless it has a roller inductor or something. So even then, a lot of times it just goes down to 80. So it was more to challenge myself than anything, because it gets boring fixing things. And this thing has gone nice and smooth. I don't remember drilling any extra holes or anything. It's just been going really smooth. So again, catch you all later. Have a great weekend. 73.